Once upon a time, there was a place of carved stone faces. A man with a lantern lay sleeping a dreamless sleep. The man knew nothing. One day, the man woke up. He rubbed the dried ink caked over his eyes and opened them. Around him, he saw other people stirring, and beyond, a horizon of unbroken darkness. A woman approached the man with the lantern. Her soft hand reached out to him. They had no words. They were a mystery to each other. Suddenly, a monster emerged from the darkness, its eyes wild with hunger. It attacked. The people were no match for the monster. It tore their flesh and crushed their bones between its teeth. Some it devoured whole. Overcome with terror and grief, the man with the lantern collapsed to the ground. Cold stone noses pushed into his side. There was no escape. But the man did not want to die. Desperately grasping at the stone-cold faces, he felt a crack and tore at it with all his might. A piece of stone came free. It was sharp and deadly. The man with the lantern scrambled to his feet, his weapon clenched in his fist. He took a deep breath and roared into the darkness. Somewhere, in the place of stone faces, nameless men and women stand together. They have nothing but a need to survive and a lantern to light their struggle. Welcome to the beginning of a new campaign of Kingdom Death Monster. This is a series that we'll be doing here on A Death to Monsters as a way to explore the space in the game that Adam Poots has created in his official simulator, the Kingdom Death Simulator. We'll be playing the beginning People of the Lantern campaign. If you've played Kingdom Death before, this will be familiar with you, as it begins with the quarry monsters of the White Lion, progressing to the Antelope, and later on to the Phoenix. It'll have all the standard Nemesis monsters, and don't worry, we'll be explaining all these guys in due time. In the first couple parts of this series, I will be going through the rules in at least some brief detail, but don't expect this to be an incredibly detailed and laborious playthrough. For the sake of pacing and editing, I'll be doing a lot of setup off-screen, so you don't have to watch me fiddle around setting up cards, which means there'll be more time spent on talking through our decisions, the combat itself, and hopefully the development of the settlement. Hope you enjoy, and so with that, let's get over to starting with our beginning survivors and naming them. So interesting to Kingdom Death, naming your character isn't just a nicety. It's required for them to even begin the actions of performing survival. In this case, for our starting survivors, all they can do is dodge. They haven't learned how to speak yet, and they certainly haven't learned any more advanced tactics. So going from left to right, we have Shepard, Robin, Lucy, and Kane. Every round of Kingdom Death begins with a monster's turn. In this case, because this is the prologue fight, we automatically know what the monster will be doing. In this case, he'll be using Claw. First thing he'll be doing is choosing a threat. In this case, the closest threat facing and in range. Everyone is facing and everybody's with equal distance. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and attack Kane. We're going to throw a certain number of dice equal to the number of speed, in this case 2. And any die roll that is over 2 will count as a hit. Those are both over 2, and so now we'll roll these damage dice here to find out where Kane will take damage. So it looks like both his legs as well as his chest. Fortunately, the White Lion is only doing 1 point of damage at a time, so we're not taking any serious injuries, so we're not going to be falling over here. Beyond that, because we did start with Kane as the monster controller, we are going to get a small bonus. Whenever you are targeted by the monster, you get 1 point of insanity. Insanity works a little bit like armor, except rather than for your body, it's for your brain. After the monster's turn, it's time for the survivors to act. Again, because this is the prologue, we automatically know what the very first card is of the hit location deck. In this case, we know that there's a critical wound, and we know that our Founding Stone can be activated to guarantee both a hit as well as a critical wound. So let's go ahead and archive this card to do that now with Shepherd. Doing so will deal damage. Damage in this case is represented by slowly whittling down the AI deck from the monster. This card itself is a persistent injury, so it'll stay in play, and then we have the opportunity to spend 1 survival to gain 1 strength. I already had it here. Survivors are allowed to move and then act, or act and then move. In this case, Shepherd already acted, so he's going to move out of the blind spot behind the White Lion. Most monsters have a blind spot. Usually it is directly behind them. In this case, Robin is going to be moving directly behind the White Lion and attacking with her Founding Stone. Founding Stone normally hits on a 7, but in this case, because we're directly behind it, we're able to hit on a 6+. So we were able to get 2 hits there. And we're looking to hit a total damage of 6 on the monster. So because, again, we're using the Founding Stone, we need to roll 5 plus 1 to equal the monster's toughness of 6. We're going to be attacking the safer spot first. We rolled a 2. So that was a miss. Next up is the Beast Paw. This is very dangerous. If we miss here, the lion will counterattack us with +2 damage, almost guaranteeing a severe injury. Okay, so we hit a 6, so even if we were attacking with our fist and teeth, that would have counted as damage there. Up next is Lucy. Lucy's going to go ahead and move behind the White Lion, again, to get the same advantage of attacking from behind the blind spot. She's going to continue to attack with the Founding Stone. So she's able to roll 1 Lantern 10. The other one was not good enough. So in this case, again, there's a failure here. So again, we really want to hit, and we do. We land a 7 on this one. So again, even with fist and teeth, even without our fist and tooth, even without our Founding Stone, we would have dealt damage. So far, so good. I mean, this is pretty lucky for the White Lion. Last up is Kane. Again, because there are a lot of failure conditions here that involve the White Lion running straight ahead, I want to move out of the front of the way. So even if I'm not in the blind spot, it's still a safer place to be. So we landed 2 hits again here. First spot is interesting. The Glorious Mane, even if we were to land damage on this, actually will not take away AI. But if we're lucky enough to land a crit, we'll get a good resource. And while we did roll very good at a 9, that is not enough. With the Founding Stone, crits only happen on a natural Lantern 10. So again, here's another situation where if we fail, the White Lion will run away. And in this case, again, we do land on an 8. So again, we are being very lucky with our actual hits in terms of damage. After the last survivor is acted, you're going to want to pass on the monster controller card and then draw the top card of the AI deck. In this case, the White Lion has picked up Size Up. This is an Intimidate move, so this is going to be primarily damage to our brain. He's going to be targeting things in his field of view. That means essentially everything on the board for now, other than anyone that may be standing in the blind spot. So that means that between Shepherd and Kane, they're going to have to roll off to see who's going to roll lower in terms of who is a random target. And they tie. And so in this case, it's going to target Shepherd. So because he is targeting Shepherd, I will be able to get that inherent insanity bonus. However, we're going to immediately lose the insanity because he succeeded on his roll there. So we're going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to our brain, and then we're going to be knocked down. That means it's going to be an entire round that we're going to miss while we're on the ground. Later on, you do have the ability to pick up other survivors, but for now, we just don't have the language. Okay, up next is going to be Lucy. Things have been going well so far. almost to the point where would almost consider attacking with Fist and Teeth, but we are going to continue to attack with the Founding Stone. Normally it hits on a 7, but because we're in the blind spot, we're going to pull out 2 cards here. Again, we're going to start with the Beast's Knee because it's the safer choice between the two. And we do roll a Lantern 10. That is going to be a critical wound. It's not going to be an amazing critical wound. It's just going to slow the White Lion down a little bit. First, we'll take our wound here. And they're going to grab a negative movement token and put it on there. Unfortunately, I don't believe this version of the simulator has yet tracking the movement in real time with tokens there. So there are some things that you're going to have to keep track of yourself in this version of the game. I will try not to make any mistakes. Okay, again, there is a failure opportunity here, failure reaction, but because we're attacking with the Founding Stone, 5 + 1 is 6. So we do succeed in wounding the lion here. And you can tell we're already down to the bottom of the AI deck. That's fast. That's actually really, really good. It's going to move Robin out of the way. Again, you don't want to be directly in front of it if you can help it. We're just attacking with the Founding Stone again. We get 1 hit here. And again, just barely 5 + 1 for the damage on the knee. So again, failure would have provoked a negative reaction, but we were able to roll well enough there so that we're okay. Again, an extraordinarily lucky roll. Because the AI deck was empty, we got to shuffle it and then randomly put 1 card away. Finally, we're going to end with Cain. Cain is again attacking with the Founding Stone. And he has 1 hit there. And again, there's a failure reaction here. And again, still somehow we rolled well enough so that he is going to take damage. So now the AI deck is empty. That means every time it turns to the lion's turn, he will perform his basic action, which is essentially identical to the card of Claw. He'll choose closest survivor in range or in field of view, and he'll attack twice at a 2 accuracy at 1 damage. So survivors that are in blind spot don't count. You're 1 away and 1 is right next to you. That means there's only 1 valid target. In this case, it's Robin. Luckily enough, Robin is actually the monster controller this round, so she's going to be able to get a little bonus insanity here to guard against. Okay. Unsurprisingly, those both hit. Later on, we have more opportunities to try and evade damage. In this case, she's going to be taking damage to her arms and legs. And there's her insanity from being attacked. Technically, I believe they get bonus insanity before the attack connects. I believe just as soon as they're targeted, it counts. So we've gotten a full round. Shepard is able to stand up now. He's able to attack if he'd like to. He's got +1 strength, so attacking with his fist and teeth is actually viable. And it has the special attribute of having +1 luck. So rather than only critting on a natural Lantern 10, we're able to crit on a 9 as well. In this case, we actually surprisingly do land 1 hit, which is good for Fist and Teeth. And this one actually has a decent wound on it, but I don't think it has any resources on it. So we would need to land a 7. Fist and Teeth add nothing, but he already has the +1 strength for wounding the hand earlier. 3 is not nearly enough. Up next is Robin. Robin's going to move out of the way again, just in case there's a failure. And we're going to start attacking with our Fist and Teeth. We're not in a lot of danger. Nobody's seriously injured. And there's a possibility that we could get a critical wound and get a resource out of it. Fortunately, we're starting to roll poorly again, but then again, when you're trying to land an 8, It's pretty tough, even with 2 dice. Okay, next up, Kane is going to go in with Fist and Teeth. And he does get 1 because of the blind spot bonus. 7 plus 1. And unfortunately, we rolled right into his trap. So every monster has an ability to reshuffle their hit location deck. These are generally called traps. When you land on a trap, you're unable to use any survival action. So even though we have full survival and we would normally be able to dodge, when you're the aggressor or when a trap card is pulled, you're unable to do so. So you're simply helpless and have to take the damage that comes at you or whatever action is going to happen. In this case, he takes heavy wounds to both his head as well as his body. These are not severe wounds, but any one of those is enough to knock him down, and he'll have to wait again to stand up later. Consequently, shuffle the remainder of the hit location deck and start it fresh whenever you land on a trap card. Okay, so Lucy still has an opportunity to act. It might be a good idea to start attacking with the Founding Stone, but I'm going to get a little bit greedy and I'm going to continue to attack with the Fist and Teeth. Okay, we do land 1. 7 plus 1 is enough. We're at the beast's heel. Five plus 0 is not enough to deal damage, and it's certainly not a critical. So the round is over. We're going to go ahead and move Monster Controller over to Lucy. Again, there's no AI card, so we have to do our basic action. In this case, we're allowed to pick whoever we like. In this case, we're going to attack Lucy just to go ahead and give ourselves a little bonus insanity. You never know when that may come in handy in the future. And we're going to attack twice. In this case, he absolutely lands 2 hits. A Lantern 10 is a guaranteed hit no matter how much evasion you may have. In this case, it is wounds to the chest and arms. Although we could dodge one of them if we wanted. Again, these are light wounds, and I'm not terribly concerned yet. So we're just going to go ahead and keep our survival for now. We're going to reset all of our actions and movements, which I'm just using with these little tokens here. Kane is going to stand up because it's the end of the monster's turn. And now Shepard is going to move in and attack. No, Robin is. Robin's moving in and attacking. Again, with Fist and Teeth. Okay, she does land 2 hits, which is pretty good for Fist and Teeth. Okay, and there's 2 options here. One with the failure condition. The other one is the Fleshy Gut, which if we do land a crit can be really great. We'll be able to get a basic resource as well as a little bit of bonus insanity. The other one, of course, is a failure condition. And we do land a 9. So again, Fist and Teeth are deadly. That give +1 luck. That 9 means it's in the critical range. So that is going to count as a crit. So the White Lion will die, but not before vomiting all over us. And it feels awesome. So here's the basic resource deck. We're going to go ahead and grab the item out of it that came out of the White Lion, which is pretty cool. That is an item I'm not familiar with. It's the Perfect Bone. This was updated in one of the more recent versions of Kingdom Death. I think it might have been 1.6 that it's on right now. I played an older version for a while, and this was not in it. So I'm not 100% sure how it works, but at the very least, it is a bone, and the White Lion has died. Next, it's up for us to collect the rewards of actually finishing the White Lion. In this case, everybody's going to get 1 Hunt XP. You can think of Hunt XP as how strong your survivors are getting, but also how old they're getting as well. So while in general getting Hunt XP is a good thing, at least early on, the further and further down the line you get, the closer you are getting towards retirement. Not that retirement is necessarily a particularly bad outcome for a survivor in Kingdom Death. If they made it that far, that means you did pretty good, but it does mean that barring some very rare situations, they will not be fighting again. Likewise, we are also entitled to get 4 basic resources as well as 4 of the White Lion resources. Okay, so shuffling up all the decks, we're going to go ahead and grab 4 cards from each. That's a card, again, I'm not familiar with. That's a perfect organ. We got 2 perfect items. That's very fascinating. And you could instantly age yourself. Not sure that that's great early on. I don't know. I guess it could be okay if you had the opportunity to eat it. I don't know if we have the opportunity to eat it now or not. I think technically we could before we return to the settlement, but it is definitely way more useful now as a crafting item than it is as something that I'm going to scarf down. So we got 2 normal bones, we got a hide, we got a great cat bone, we got a lion claw, we got another lion claw, and another great cat bone. Oh, God, no. Well, okay. This is different. This is going to be a different type of game. This is going to be a very offensive, tilted sort of first round, first hunt against the White Lion. Bones are great for weapons, but normally you want a little bit of armor. I guess not this time. Okay, so now we're going to go through the steps of preparing our settlement. First thing is just laying out this card, as well as grabbing our settlement sheet. Next step is Survivor's Return. Very first thing we're supposed to do is name our settlement. In this case, we're going to call it Lantern Song. There'll be something. Probably screaming, but there'll be some sort of a song there. The same step, we're going to go ahead and return any survival that may have been spent, as well as heal any injuries. I already healed some of the injuries, but we're all at 1 survival. We cannot go over 1 survival yet, but fairly soon we'll be unlocking a innovation that will allow us to go higher than 1. Step after that is to gain endeavors. For now, we gain 1 endeavor for every living survivor that comes back from the hunt. So they are all alive. We have 4 here. Later on, there will be innovations or principles that might get us more of these. But these are essentially used for creating new areas, performing special abilities, basically anything that would involve in either A, developing the civilization, or B, using the different tools within the civilization. Next up, we're going to go ahead and update the timeline. So it's Lantern Year 1. I've already go ahead and hit that checkbox there. Normally, we're going to be pulling a special event. But because it's the first day, we get 1 very special card that will help determine the beginning of the game. The first day is the first event of any new campaign. The survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep instinctual level, they know this area is safe, and they make it their home. Okay, so now we're going to roll a d10 and find out the amount of people that are in here. Before I started this, I did roll a lantern 10, but I wasn't recording, so I guess it doesn't count. That's okay. We can make any amount of survivors work with any luck. Okay, well, that is the opposite of a lantern 10. Again, I mean, a lot of times in this game, when you think something is going to be bad for you, later on, it could end up being good for you. In this case, we're just going to go for it. So 1 leaves us with 6 unnamed survivors. So I already put the 4 returning survivors on here. This gets us to a population of 10. And then we have a story event in returning survivors. So whenever you see a little book icon here, it means there's a special event. Likewise, sometimes there are things that you have to write in, certain events that'll get written in. Just make sure you follow those, roughly in order. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to do first words. So a nominated survivor steps forward and gains 1 courage. They lead the other survivors in learning to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing they must hunt to live. Add the white line to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. We gain language innovation. Language does a couple things for us. First, it'll increase our survival limit from 1 to 2. This will let us gain up to 2 survival, meaning that we can dodge in at least 2 separate turns, assuming we've maxed out our survival. Additionally, it also gives us the ability to encourage one another. If one of the survivors is knocked down on the ground and either defensively or offensively, we need them to stand up so that they can move. Language will allow us to do that. While it wasn't necessary in the previous hunt, I actually do have these cards set up here for a reason. These are to help me keep track of whether or not somebody has dodged or not in a round, or otherwise encouraged in a round. At the end of every monster's round is when these refresh. Along with language also comes the ability to begin innovating even more. While we technically could continue to innovate right now, we will likely be using our resources for actually creating weapons and gear, as well as other settlement areas, but we could technically do that now if we wanted. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home the Lantern Horde. Settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. This is the spot within the settlement that we would use to actually create new innovations. As you can see, it's going to have the ability for us to use endeavors to build 3 new locations as well. The nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains 1 understanding. They must skip the next hunt phase as they ponder the meaning of existence. Okay, I've created a new survivor here that will be pondering the glow. Her name is Glowy. She's gained her 1 understanding. She has her 1 survival from being given a name. And I put a little token on her just to remind myself she can't go out yet. She's pondering. Okay, the next thing to do is to use our endeavors to build new areas. While the prologue says you should do this, I think technically you could try to use your endeavors for some other purpose. I don't think any of them are as good as actually building them, but I don't think it's 100% required. We're going to go ahead and build everything now. Okay, the process of building these 3 areas was going to take 3 endeavors. And now here's where the really difficult decisions happen. Right now, we could use the augury to attempt to roll on the intimacy table. It's about an equal chance of rolling on intimacy as it is in terms of gaining 1 understanding. Having intimacy gives us the opportunity for an incredibly powerful early game principle, and might actually be worth it. Right now, we have an absolute excessive amount of bone. Pretty much, no matter what happens, if I roll poorly on the augury and we end up having to give up a resource, we would still end up gaining 1 survival anyways. Alternatively, we could use one of our endeavors to build stone noses. This is a guaranteed item that will give 1 additional survival and 1 additional insanity to a survivor of our choice. While it would be incredibly useful to have a child come out of this, I think it's a little bit too much of a risk to go for an intimacy roll now. We're only going to get it about 30% of the time, and even then, there's a 30% chance that the intimacy could fail. So I think we're going to skip this one for now. Instead, we're going to use that final endeavor on getting some stone noses. It may not seem like much, but being able to dodge 1 more time might cause one of our survivors to live rather than die. Next up is a choice of how we want to spend both our organs as well as our hide. It's always a good idea to try and protect your head, and we can use a monster hide for that right now. This leaves us with a whole mess of bone, as well as 1 organ. Normally, I like making axes, and I know it's a little controversial whether or not to go for axes. They do require 2 resources when pretty much every other weapon only requires 1. But I do enjoy the fact that they have 1 more strength in either the bone blade and especially 2 more strength in the bone dagger. That and their ability of Savage, while it doesn't proc very often, usually about once a hunt you might see one, and that'll be 1 additional wound on the monster. Without any bonus strength, bone blades are very scary on the level 1 white lion, so I generally try to avoid those. Not only that, but I'm not a huge fan of the sword weapon proficiencies that we'll get later in the game. I've never used bone clubs before, but we might try and make one this time, only because we have so much bone. And whenever you land a hit with them, and they do hit relatively often. I mean, you're going to be hitting on average at least once a round, and with 5 strength, they're almost always going to be wounding. Assuming you didn't have to move, it could be really good. Bone daggers, again, with all the failure conditions on the white lion, I'm not a huge fan of, unless for some reason we had gotten ourselves a massive amount of strength. Bone darts are good. In fact, we're almost definitely going to be making 1, if not 2, bone darts right now. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time of thinking, and once I'm done through my planning, I'll show you what we came up with. Okay, so this is going to be the arrangement of how I'm going to be making my weapons, preparing for the next hunt. First, we're going to be going with a bone axe. I've just had a lot of success with bone axes in the past, and especially if we don't have any across-the-board bonuses to our strength. The 3 strength on the bone axe is going to be making wounding the lion a lot more consistent, as well as getting a little bonus damage out of Savage. If this does go off, it'll make the fight go down a little bit faster, which is great because right now we're not going to have a whole heck of a lot of defense on anyone to try and soak up additional hits from the white lion. I have never made this weapon before, the bone club, but with the all bone that we have, I figured it's worth giving it a shot. So I know this weapon can stay viable very late into the game. There's some late game armor that will actually make even something as simple as the bone club worthwhile. It also has the benefit of not being frail. While this isn't an issue on the white lion, some later monsters will cause our weapons to break when they contact the monster. Bone club is not one of them. And again, if we do land any hits, they're almost all guaranteed to be wounds. Next up is the monster bone into the bone blade. Again, I'm not a fan of the bone blade. I don't really like swords, and I especially don't like this one. The only issue is if I were to make 2 bone darts, I'm worried I would be missing too often in order to chunk the white lion down. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. We'll put this on Shepherd, who already has +1 strength. Hopefully that +1 strength will be enough to get us through the first lantern year fight. Next up, bone darts. You almost always want to have bone darts on at least 1 survivor. There is an opportunity for the white lion to draw a special AI card that will make it, if you don't have ranged weapons, at least range 2 weapons, you're going to be in a massive amount of pain. So just for safety's sake, as well as something that will nicely pair with the bone club in the future, we're going to go ahead and make these bone darts. Likewise, we're still going to head and make the rawhide headband. And only because I don't have a real need for it in any other way, we're going to go ahead and hold on to the perfect bone. This is useful later on for some other crafting recipes. For all we know, it's going to get used right away in the very next settlement phase for some other crafting purposes. But for now, we're going to hold on to it in the very rare chance that it's going to be beneficial in the future. Okay, so here's our final configurations. Again, Shepherd with the bone blade, Robin with a bone axe, Lucy with bone darts, and then Kane is getting special treatment here. He's going to be getting both a rawhide headband, stone noses, and bone club. When given the opportunity, we're going to be having Kane take attacks from the white lion. He'll have 2 survival, meaning he'll be able to dodge on at least 2 separate occasions. Likewise, he's got the rawhide headband, meaning he'll be able to take at least 1 additional wound from the white lion. So we've updated our death count. Nobody has died. We did our milestone. We've just done our developments. Normally our innovation deck would go here, but we're about to flip this anyways. We're preparing our departing survivors. There's no special showdown. I'm going to record and archive all the resources already. So now we're going to be ending the settlement phase, and we're going to be going into the next hunt phase. We've got 1 quarry monster we're able to fight, the white lion. I'm just going to go ahead and note down here that we're fighting white lion level 1. There once was a beast that wanted to feel how soft its fur was. Since it could not reach its own back, it killed many other creatures and spent time rubbing its paws over them. They say that when the monster finally killed a human, it fell in love with their soft hair, and its paws grew into a fine pair of human hands. So like any other hunting game, it's a little bit of a work to actually find the monster that you're going to be fighting in the showdown for that year. I'm going to go ahead and just briefly go over how we're going to be setting up the hunt board. Any of these E here means there are a specific hunt event related to the white lion. Otherwise, the hunt event is going to be a random event. So our goal on progression is going to be going through these initial 2 white lion specific hunt events, 1 random hunt event, and then once we finally land on the spot with the white lion, we'll enter combat. It is extremely unlikely that we'll end up in overwhelming darkness, but if we do, we'll handle that if that happens. Sea of golden grass. Fields of golden grass lay ahead. Hunt revealer may choose to avoid the plains and roll twice on the hunt event table before moving on the hunt board. Otherwise, each survivor gains +1 courage and the event revealer rolls on the table. I am almost more scared about rolling on the hunt event table. If we were to get 8, 9, or 10, we could actually move them forward ahead 1 and have 1 less chance of landing on a random hunt event that is usually harmful for us, not helpful. Especially with as little courage as we get. All right, we'll roll on this. Three. That is an immediate ambush. Well, consolation prize. Everyone does get 1 courage. And I forgot to set it before. Either Robin or Lucy was supposed to have a 2nd courage from first words. And I'll go ahead and just put that on their notes here so that we remember. So the white lion is going to move immediately to us. We're going to go ahead and set up the fight now. Now, even though we're being ambushed, we do have still the same benefit of being able to design the showdown board how we like. So long as we're following the rules, there's nothing wrong here. So not only this, but then also how does it want our placements to be set up? Okay, I did some rearranging of the showdown board. I've go ahead and moved the tall grass to these 2 spots here. This will mean that, assuming that everybody's targeted equally, I can choose Kane as the person who'll take the first hit. The tall grass will provide him at least a little bit of defense by getting him 2 evasion. It'll take a normal 2 accuracy and bringing up to a 4 accuracy. Not great, not really what I would want to see in this situation, but definitely slightly better. Likewise, we have the ability to have debris on the field. This means that we have a 40% chance of finding an actual helpful piece of weaponry to use. I place that next to Lucy, who currently only has the bone darts. So if she were to find a bone blade, or especially that scrap metal blade, she would have something that she could actually use to fight the white lion a little bit more if it came down to it. Otherwise, we're setting up in pretty much the same sort of situation as we were previously, so I think we're more or less ready to go. We're going to be starting with Kane as the monster controller. Going to go ahead and make sure both these decks are shuffled. Not sure how this setup works, if sometimes it's completely random or not. And we're going to go ahead and start here. So it starts with Grasp. So first he's going to look for the closest knockdown survivor in range. None of us are knocked down. Otherwise, it's going to be the nearest survivor. Again, I'm allowed to pick whoever I like. These are all valid targets. We're targeting Kane, so we're going to go ahead and make sure he's got his brain here. Also, we want to make sure that on arrival, he gets 1 additional survival, 1 additional insanity. Survival is going to go up to 2. Brain is going to go up to 3. He is technically insane. Okay, so first chance, he has to hit on a 4+ in order to have an attempt to grab Kane. And it's a 2. Okay, that is nice. That is some luck. Not that lucky. because we're going to be skipping our first turn. After all, we were ambushed. So the white lion is still going to get another opportunity to attack us. So it's going to go through all the way again. Leave monster controller. We'll move over to Shepherd now. And then it's going to be the white lion's chance to attack again. And then we'll get another chance to move afterwards. Maul. Victim of grab last round. Nobody was grabbed. So we didn't even dodge that. So nobody was grabbed there. Next is the closest knockdown survivor in range. None of us are knocked down. Finally, if there's no other target, the monster will sniff. So these are called instinct abilities. Different monsters have different instincts. In this case, when the white lion does his instinct ability, he sniffs the air and ends his turn. Until the end of the next round, so that would be at the very end of our next survivor action, all survivors are now threats, despite any effects that say otherwise. This is something that's easy to get confused on. It doesn't mean we're all priority targets. It just means whenever it says choose a threat. So that means if somebody's on the ground, I believe also if somebody's in a blind spot, sniff should work there as well. So that's wonderful. So that means we actually have a turn to act. Now, I think what I want to do is I want Kane to attack with his bone club first. This is his best opportunity to actually land a hit here. It's not going to happen every time, but I think it's definitely worth it. So we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to swing 2 dice, hitting on both a 6. Okay, that's a 9 and a 3. That is 1 hit. I'll take that. Okay, got to grab from the hit location and not the AI deck. Okay, first up is the Beast Scapular Deltoid. So if he messes this up, the white lion is going to run directly into him. Otherwise, if we land a critical wound, we will break his shoulder and the white lion will get -1 movement. That can be helpful. So this is a dramatic roll here. If we lose, we're going to be taking damage and grab. And we hit a 6. So 6 plus 5 is 11. That easily wounds. This is the level 1 white lion. He has 8 toughness. I am not going to be attacking with Lucy right away. In fact, I'll have her go ahead and grab at this sword now just to see what we get. We roll a 3. A 3 is nothing. Well, better than getting knocked down. I think we'll start with Shepherd attacking behind the white lion. So he's going to be in the blind spot. He'll get +1. That means he'll be hitting on a 5+. So we hit twice. He hit a 5 and a 9. We both got 2 failure conditions. The Beast's Paw is almost something I'm too afraid of to even try, so I'm going to go for the Beast's Ear first. Assuming that we try this and fail this, Shepherd will simply get knocked down, and then he doesn't have to worry about taking this extremely punishing attack. So we hit a 9. 9 plus 3 is 12, so that is a wound. So even if we get really messed up, we can feel pretty good about that. Next up is the Beast's Paw. Again, super dangerous. Basically guaranteed to take at least 1 heavy wound, possibly 2, or I should say serious wounds, severe wounds. And that's a 2. So that is exactly what we're afraid of. It's 2 plus 3 is 5. That is not enough to wound. That means a white lion is going to attack Shepherd twice. Good news for Kane. He's not going to get run over. Bad news for Shepherd. He's going to get horribly maimed. So he's going to perform the basic action at 3 damage. And again, we're not in the grass, so we're just gonna take whatever happens. Hey, at least it's out of the list now. Oh my god. Okay, well, you know, that's not bad. So we did hit a 1. So miraculously, 1 does miss. Of course, the other one hits no matter what. But I'll take 1 severe injury over 2. I consider that lucky. So I'm going to find out where he's going to take the severe injury table. Pretty much anywhere other than the head. The waist would be great. If not the waist, the legs, everything else is kind of scary. Okay, the chest. Chest comes up pretty often. Chest is twice as likely to appear as any other hit zone. Not surprised. So here's what happens. First, he takes a severe injury. That's him falling over. But then because it's 3 damage, we have to roll on the severe injury table. So when a survivor suffers a severe injury at a hit location, determine the outcome by rolling a 1d10. If we have 5 bleeding tokens, we will die. Some permanent injuries are going to be limited to how often they'll happen. Others can happen multiple times. So we're going to find out right now how severely injured is our body. There's a 20% chance of instantly killing us. A 4. It's not instant death. Gaping chest wound. Suffer -1 permanent strength. This injury is permanent and can be recorded multiple times. Could be worse. Could actually be way worse. Obviously, very sad to be losing out on our bonus strength that we earned earlier. However, for now, at least as far as the fight goes, we could have gotten a worse outcome. At least he has the ability to try and fight back. Okay, and that's the end of Shepard's turn. I think one consolation prize is because Shepard is the monster controller. I think he actually does gain 1 insanity here. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments below and I'll retroactively remove this insanity, but it does look like he did get targeted. God knows he earned it. That would make me go insane too. Okay, Lucy did her action. This means final action is going to be from Robin. You cannot move through other survivors. Ideally, we would be moving into the blind spot, but that is too many spaces away. I think all we're going to do is move up to this forward flank here, and we're going to attack with our bone axe. Okay, we do land 1 and 8 hits. Bone axe hits on a 6+. 1, of course, is a miss. And we get the beast's femur. This is a good one. We could potentially, on a crit, reduce his movement. We might also get a random resource. This is one I really hope we land a wound on. We do not. Well, hold on. 2 + 3. Oh, no. That's only 5. That's not nearly enough. Oh, well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end this round. We'll refresh everybody's actions for when it matters. We're going to move the monster controller onto Robin. We're going to go ahead and draw our next AI card. Battle round. Closest threat facing in range. Well, we know because he sniffed last round, everything is facing him. Or sorry, everything is a threat. So even though Shepard would normally not be a threat because he's knocked down, he was sniffed. So that means he's going to get, he's going to become the target. I believe facing follows like a V sort of formation here. So everything directly in front of him is facing, everything to the side is in the field of view, and anything directly behind him is in his blind spot. So that means Shepard's going to get attacked twice at an accuracy 5. That could be a lot worse. So again, he's got a hit on a 5+. And he actually miraculously misses both. That's great. That is, that's really good. Not that it would be too dangerous, but again, there's a better than average chance that his body would have gotten hit there. Okay, so it goes to our turn. Shepard will stand up. And again, because we have the opportunity at the beginning of the turn, because Kane is already standing, especially in the blind spot, we are going to start with him attacking with the Bone Club to start. So he hits a 5 and a 3. The Bone Club normally hits on a 6, but because of that blind spot modifier, that does mean we do get 1 hit here. Okay, so the Tricep, again, with a failure, he will get attacked. Otherwise, if we land a critical wound, we're going to be able to get the White Lion knocked down. White Lion is knocked down, there's no more reactions, and all hit rolls succeed on a 3+. In some very rare instances, this can actually make it less accurate. If you have an extremely accurate weapon with a survivor with a lot of accuracy bonuses. But that's not what's happening here. Okay, hopefully we land a crit here. A knockdown would be amazing. And we got one! Holy crap! Yes! Okay, first thing, we take our wound, draw this face down, goes over here. Next thing, follow any critical wound things on here. So the torn muscle causes agonizing pain. Discard 1 mood in play. There's no moods in play. White Lion is knocked down. Facing might matter a little bit for when he stands up, but otherwise it's irrelevant. No matter where you are in relation to the White Lion, you will hit on a 3+. First thing I want to do is, I think, attack with Shepherd. While the hit location deck is still kind of stacked, and I have an opportunity to get into his blind spot, I want to move into that. So when he stands up, I should be in the blind spot. That'll put him in a safe place. Also, any other reactions would be canceled. If we failed, he won't be in too much danger. The only bad thing that could happen is if we rolled into the trap card. Okay, we hit over 3 twice. We hit a Lantern 10 and a 6. Those are 2 hits. Well, I spoke that into existence. Okay, the attacker has caught the White Lion's ruse and is savagely mauled. So we know what that means. It means we're going to be performing a basic action. It means we're going to be shuffling the deck. It means the White Lion is going to stand up. So he's going to go ahead and target Shepherd. Again, unfortunately, not in the grass. I don't know that he's going to make it, guys. I guess we'll see. Okay, unsurprisingly, 2 hits. Just have to hope that they are not hits to the chest. Okay, there is 1 wound to the leg, but there is 1 wound to the chest. That means no matter what, Shepherd is going to be getting knocked over. And it's time to go back to the severe wound table. Again, pretty much anything other than 1 and 2. At this point, I'd just be happy for him to stay alive and be a meat puppet to take hits on. And that is a 2. Instant death. The blow sends a bone fragment directly into your heart, killing you instantly. Well, that's it. He's dead. There's nothing else to be said. Nothing to save him. He is simply gone. Well, you died as you lived. What? Getting bone fragments sent into your heart? All right. Well, it's not over yet. This is actually, in a way, an advantageous situation. Kane is again going to be able to land a Bone Club, assuming nothing terrible happens on his turn with the White Lion. Both Lucy and Robin have an opportunity to attack. In fact, if I really wanted, we could send Lucy on her way to go towards the Survivor Corpse. This could be an opportunity to get some additional resources, as well as possibly a skull, as well as additional insanity. She does have darts, so she can attack in that way. To start, I think we're going to attack with Robin. No. I want to attack with Lucy. Lucy, I want to get moving out of the way so that Robin can get into the blind spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, she's going to slowly move her up to this spot here to try and grab for resources. It's very unlikely to hit here. We got a hit on a 7+, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot anyways. Okay, and that is a full miss. And then we're going to get Robin in to attack with a bone axe. Again, because we're in the blind spot, these hit on a 5+. And she gets 2 hits. Pretty sure I shuffled these, but I'm just going to be safe. Make sure I shuffled them again. Okay. 2 decent spots to go for. I'm going to go for the straining neck first. We're going to go for his neck. Okay, 4. 4 plus 3 is not enough. He has a toughness of 8, so unfortunately that is not a wound. I was really hoping for a critical wound there, but we didn't get it. Next up is the knee. 5. 5 plus 3 is enough for a wound. Again, this would not have been possible if we had gone with 2 bone blades. That would have not counted as a wound. So I feel pretty good about that investment. Not that there wasn't too much else we could use with the other organ. At least not at this point in the game. Okay, so these are everyone's turns. We're going to go ahead and move Monster Controller on to Lucy. Then we'll draw our next AI card. Vicious Claw. Random survivor in range. So, as far as I can tell, this means it doesn't matter whether you're in the blind spot, whether you're in front of him, or even 1 spot away. The White Lion is going to try and attack any one of these. Once he does, it is very similar to a normal claw. The only difference being is that the person might end up getting bleed. I'm just going to go ahead and roll a dice right in front of everyone. Lowest one will be the person that gets attacked. So it looks like Robin is it. Robin is directly behind the White Lion. Okay, those are 2 hits. Unsurprisingly, we'll find out where she's getting hit. The only place we don't want to get hit in is the head. We got hit in the arms and the legs. Both okay locations to get hit in. At least to start. We, in theory, could dodge one of them, but I'd rather save my survival to try and dodge a head wound. Possibly another guaranteed severe wound. Only risk there is, of course, is as you have more damage currently on your survivor, there's at least a small possibility that you could end up in a situation where you roll into a trap or some sort of a failure reaction, you take damage anyways. For now, though, this 1 survival is precious. I don't want to go ahead and waste it. Just in the chance that we roll a reflex that gets the White Lion to run away, I think I do want to start with Kane again. Again, it's very difficult to use this Bone Club. In order for him to use it, he's not able to move during his turn. And for anything to happen where we would lose the ability to use the Bone Club, anything else he might do is pretty much useless. We can't use the ability in our Rawhide Headband. We don't have a chest piece. I certainly don't want to just start hucking Founding Stones for no reason. I definitely don't want to attack with a Founding Stone because the chances to actually deal damage are too low. So we're going to go ahead and start with him. We'll start with attacking with the Bone Club. So we do hit one Lantern 10 there, so we can go ahead and choose our hit location. Okay, so again, it's the sort of thing where if Robin had attacked the flank and failed, the White Lion would have gone away, and then Kane wouldn't have the opportunity to hit with his Bone Club. And because it's so strong, you know, we wound on a 3+. There's a very good chance this will actually wound here. And we land on the Lantern 10. So not only do we wound, we also get the critical wound here as well. The monster howls in pain as the blow breaks its elbow with a sickening crunch. Non-death survivors gain 3 insanity and may stand if they're knocked down. Well, nobody's knocked down, but I'll be more than happy to give everybody 3 insanity. Getting pretty crazy out here. We're again going to stay exactly here. That's fine. I'm going to have Robin attack first, so then I can move her into the grass. It's a little dangerous. Again, as we know, there's a lot of failure conditions or just reflexes that she might get grabbed in. You know what? I might just move her into the grass anyways. I think it's a little bit too risky, and we're making okay progress through. I don't know. The problem is if I move her to the flank, Kane is in the blind spot. Kane's going to be in the blind spot no matter what. I think we'll attack from the front. I take it back. I think we'll attack from the front, and then we'll move into the grass. So at the very least, if she ends up being a target, she'll have the evasion. It is risky. It's definitely risky, but she's not heavily wounded yet. You can't kill the monster unless you attack them. Okay, we land a 4 and a 6. Okay, that's actually good. It seems a little strange, but in a situation like this, we want to deal just like one hit location at a time until we're in a safer spot. Okay, the beast's ribs. Okay, and there's no negative locations there either, so we got a little bit lucky. So we had a 5. 5 plus 3 is a wound. So this was worth it. This was all worthwhile. Okay, and we actually are getting down towards the bottom of the AI pile. I think there's 3 cards in there. So we have a pretty good idea of what he's able to do for the remainder of the rounds. Of course, we attacked first. Next, we're going to move. We're going to move into the grass here. Again, provide a little bit more defense. Lucy could move and then attack, or attack and then move. I think we'll attack and then move. In case we pull into something bad, I'd rather be in a safe location than not. Even if it means somebody's going to get run over. Well, it lands on a 7+. I'm not really counting on it. Yeah, I wasn't really counting on there being any real wounds anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if the white lion stays where he is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's still in range to be hit with the bone darts if we wanted. But we are going to be grabbing this next round anyways. It's the end of our round. We're going to go ahead and continue to move the monster controller. Monster controller is going to move back to Kane. We got to refresh the AI deck. We'll pull off the card here. Okay, bat around. Closest threat facing in range. So Kane is in the blind spot. He's not considered a threat. So that is going to be Robin. It's a good card to pull here, actually. It's going to move the white lion down. White lion will still be in the range of Kane to attack with the club. And because we're in the grass, we get +2 evasion. So that means he's only going to hit on a 7+. He does hit 1. So this is an interesting situation. We're allowed to roll the damage dice first before we decide whether or not we're going to evade. I think we will. A second leg injury will cause us to go down. I'd rather not have us go down. Not only that, we would also take a little bit of brain damage. Now, we've got plenty of insanity. Not really too worried about that, but it is technically a small downside. So we're going to go ahead and mark our survival down. For the first time, you're going to be seeing me use the dodge action. Not that you've really seen me use these before, but I'm using these to help mark them. Adam Poots, if you were listening to this, please give us the proper markers for our survival actions. It's available in the normal tabletop game. For some reason, it's not available in the simulator. Okay, so it goes back to everyone's turn. Like I've said before, whenever we have the chance to attack with the Bone Club, we're going to attack with the Bone Club first. It's just too worth it. It's too powerful of a weapon not to. That, and we are starting to get down to the bottom of the hit location deck again, or at least we've gone through some of it without pulling the trap, so someone's going to take damage. I'd rather it be Kane at this point. And we're hitting on a 5+? 6+. Well, we do land 1. We did land 1, 7. Failure. So if we lose this one, we will end up getting a basic action targeting us. It's not that bad. Chances of getting a failure here are also fairly low. This would be a great one, though. If we landed a crit on this, getting Kane some extra strength would be huge. 5 is a wound. 5 plus 5 is over 8. We can be satisfied with that. That's fine. May as well have Lucy go ahead and see what sort of weapon or what sort of resource is under this corpse. Again, pretty much guaranteed insanity, better than average chance of at least getting a basic resource. So we rolled a 6. I believe that's a basic resource. No, 3 insanity and a skull. Skulls are pretty great. They can be made directly into decent enough armor. And given our armor situation, we will almost definitely be making it anyways. Okay, nice thing is that when we gain this skull, a survivor of our choice gains 1 insanity. We'll see who's got the lowest insanity. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and give 1 additional insanity to Robin. Just want to keep these kind of balanced out. There's good reasons getting up to 10 insanity if we make it that far in the future. There's a lot of benefits to having 10 insanity, but at the same time, you don't want to go over 20 insanity either. There's a little bit of a sweet spot. Okay, it's Robin's turn. I'm worried about rolling into the trap. There's not too many wounds left in the deck that's necessary anyways. So because of our current situation, I think we're just going to go ahead and attack from the grass. You can make an argument either way, whether it's better to go into the blind spot or not. In this case, we do pull 1 wound, and I'm happy with that. Okay, the beast's femur. Okay, that's a safe one. We land a 2. Not nearly enough. And that's okay, though. Okay. All right, round is going to end. We're going to go ahead and refresh. I guess we shouldn't refresh the actions yet. Technically, it's got to be after the white lion for us to refresh his other abilities here. Oh, should have refreshed right away anyways. I'm going to move Monster Controller over. I believe Monster Controller will pass through to dead survivors. If you think it doesn't, let me know. But that's fine. It's such a small resource gain over the course of the run that I'm not going to be too concerned about it. Vicious Claw, random survivor in range. Okay, this is good. This is good that we stayed within range of the white lion. Otherwise, there was a chance that he might have run off. So first, I just want to make sure, is Lucy in range? So it would be movement. So he's got movement 6. So we would have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technically, she is not in range. So that means it is entirely between Kane and Robin. So I'll just go ahead and roll for both of them now. And Kane only knows how to roll Lantern 10s. Which unfortunately does mean that Robin's going to get attacked again. She has no survival. So she cannot dodge, but she is at least in the grass. So this will hit on a 4+. So they still both hit. One just barely hit. The other one definitely hit. Unlikely that she'll die, but a pretty good chance that she's going to get knocked over. Okay, we hit the chest and the tacit. Oh, actually pretty great results there. No severe injuries. Okay, could have been way worse. Okay, we're going to follow the same game plan. We're going to go ahead and attack with Kane. Again, we're getting low on this hit location deck, so the trap is getting closer and closer. We're going to be hitting on a 6+. So we hit a 9 and a 4. That means 1 hit. Beast Ear. So this isn't terrible. If we fail, the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to move a little bit away. We'd get a little bit out of position. And so there's a debate to be made whether or not we would want to go in and chase him down or just stay in the grass to fight back. In all likelihood, though, we're attacking with that club, so it'll probably be a wound. Except when it's a 1. That is the one situation where it is guaranteed not a wound. So he fails. So without turning, he moves 1 back. Cancel all unresolved hits now out of range. I don't think we're going to do anything with Robin. I certainly don't want to go chasing him down into an opportunity to hit anything. Lucy can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like this, in the off chance that something terrible happens, I don't want the White Lion rubbing into Kane and Robin. So we're just going to go ahead and throw some darts. Again, I don't normally look at darts as anything other than a very situational, like, it's more of a utility weapon than an actual weapon, but very rarely you'll get a wound off. Their strength is high enough so that if you actually do land a hit, they do usually deal damage. +3 is as good as an axe. It's better than a bone blade, but you're only rolling 1 dice on a 7+. It's just not likely to happen. One thing I might do with Robin is just move her 1 back. In case, and I should remember what this card is, but in case this is a card that's target closest survivor, I'd rather it be Kane rather than her. Okay, Monster Controller is going to move on. Robin is now Monster Controller. And let's see what the AI card is. Okay, it's Grasp. Okay, this is the first one that we saw. It's perfect situation. Kane's got plenty of survival to dodge it. Kane is also in the grass as well. So, you know, he's going to miss 30% of the time anyways. Okay, it is a hit. And it's such a negative situation. It's not a lot of damage. It's two different hits based off of 1 hit here. Technically, we are supposed to roll the hit location dice. It would normally be a hit to the chest, but we're just going to go ahead and dodge it. This way, everybody stays in position. White Lion doesn't get a hit, doesn't get any damage, and we can go forward from here. Likewise, we're in the perfect position as well. We have our ability to land with our bone club, so that's what we'll keep doing. We'll keep using it. I've been happy with the Bone Club. Bone Club, at least with this level 1 White Lion, even without any mobility options, has been able to land hits almost every single round. Okay, we land 1 hit. The 7, we are going for the Beast's Heel. This would be great. If we can knock down the Lion, then that means our bone darts actually have a pretty good chance of landing a hit. Either way, hopefully damage here. A 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. That's more than enough damage to cause a wound. And I'm satisfied with that. That's a good job. I'm going to move Robin in next, I think. Just in case, if, again, Lucy were to trigger something that caused the White Lion to run in right away, I want her to have the opportunity to at least swing her axe first before that happens. Again, at this point, this is just something that we have to realize is a possibility. Okay, she lands 1/8. That is 1 hit. Okay, and if we wound, she's going to get the priority target token. That means no matter what else, she is the monster. She is the target for the White Lion's attack next round. And she rolls a 1. So that does not happen. That's actually a good thing. That's actually not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Lucy's going to move into the blind spot now. This means that she'll be able to actually hit with these bone darts on a 6. Makes them just slightly more accurate. Funny that you could be using ranged weapons in a blind spot like that, but these are one of the few ranged weapons that can actually do that semi-consistently. And that is a 6. So that means we do draw 1 hit location. All right, failure would be bad. She would get a basic action. Otherwise, there's a small chance at getting him to vomit on us again, compared to the Prologue White Lion. Gonna hit a 5+ here, and it's a 1 again. So not great. Again, nothing that we could have done to fix that. That's fine though. She is very healthy, so there's not too much of a chance for something to go horribly, horribly wrong. In this case, because we're attacking, again, I should point out, if you're the attacker, if you're the aggressor, you're not able to use survival actions. A good way to think about it that I saw one other YouTuber saying is, imagine that you're in an offensive stance. You're not thinking at all about defense. You're just thinking about attacking the monster, so you're not ready to defend yourself. These are both going to hit on a 2+. And just barely on one of them. Again, not too worried. She's pretty healthy. Unless we rolled like double head, it would be bad. In this case, we rolled double chest, which is not great. But not unexpected either. So she's going to get knocked down. She is not going to be a threat. So depending on what we pull out of the AI deck, she'll be considered not a threat here. Likewise, people in the blind spot are not considered threats either. So there's a chance the White Lion will do nothing other than sniff this round. I'm going to go ahead and move the monster controller over 1. It's going to go over to Lucy. And grasp. So, closest knockdown survivor in range. Well, that's Lucy. Fortunately, she has survival. Let's just go ahead and see if the attack hits first. It does, barely. We'll roll, but I'm going to dodge this either way. Yeah, it would normally hit her arms. But I want to be safe here. Not Robin. Lucy. Lucy's going to go ahead and use her evasion. You can evade while you're knocked down. That's okay. And because we got knocked down last round, it's my understanding that we have the opportunity to stand up at the end of the monster's turn. It's technically a new turn. So we'll be standing her up. Now it's a chance to decide what we want to do. I think anytime that you see the blind spot and you have the opportunity to attack with a club, you're kind of obligated to do that. So we're going to do that. So we're going to be hitting on a 5+. We're going to be attacking with Canned with the club. So we hit 2 hits. So we're going to start with the beast's tricep. We've got a pretty good chance of actually hitting him. We also have the opportunity to knock him down. Rare, but possible. 2. Well, that was a failure. 2 + 5 is only 7. 1 strength away from making it. So unfortunately, we are going to get attacked. It's going to be the basic action here. Again, hitting on a 4+. And those are 2 hits. Again, we're the aggressors in this situation. We don't have any ability to defend. Whatever these hits are, we just have to take them. Chest and Tacit. Lucy, that's not Kane. Okay, it's his first time actually taking a hit. That's not that bad. Now, the interesting thing, or unfortunate thing, no matter how you want to look at this, is we're still committed to our attack. We still have to follow through and attack on the beast's brow. So, hopefully we land a critical. It's really either a 1, a 2, or a 10 are the only things that will result in us not taking another attack here. Well, in a way, almost a good thing, not taking that hit there. Just barely missed. But that's good. We didn't wound. We're not going to take another action without the ability to evade. I think we'll attack with Lucy next with her darts. Because then I can move her out of the way. Possibly keep her. I don't know. I have to think about it. Depending on what this does will let me decide it. 3+1 is not enough. I will keep her in the blind spot for now. Likewise, I think I'm going to have Robin continuing to attack from the grass. It just feels safer. Again, we could get more hits off if we were behind it, but I'm not really willing to risk that too much. Okay, 5 and a 5 are both misses. If we were in the blind spot, those would have both been hits, but that's just the way it goes. New round starts. Kane's dodge should have refreshed. We're going to go over to Kane now. He will be monster controller. Next up is Vicious Claw. Random survivor in range. Okay, again, we got to do a roll off here. Okay, Kane is the target. That's a good thing. He's going to go ahead and get one more insanity. He rolled a 1. And we're going to be attacking twice for 1 damage. Okay. The 2 is a miss. The 2, because we're in a grass, he would have had to hit on a 4+. Lantern 10s, of course, always hit. This is just one hit location here. It's going to be the Tacit again. That's fine. We had armor there. So we're only lightly wounded. It could be a lot worse. Okay, it's our turn. I got to start with the club. We got to start with the club every time. Okay, 6 and a 6. Those are both hits. I did roll it over here, but I was just trying to move his action icon off. But we hit anyways. It's 2 hit locations. Failure and a failure. If I'm going to fail anything, I would rather fail this first one here on terms of getting roared. So let's go ahead and give that one a shot first. Let's go for his maw. It's a 9. That is definitely a wound. Next is his scapular deltoid. So if we screw this up, it would be really bad. But we're using the club. It's a pretty good chance that we're going to be able to get a wound here. 4 + 5 is 9. That is over the toughness of 8. So that is another wound. So now we're in a good situation. We're in a situation where pretty much the only thing that is going to be coming out is basic claws. We still have 1 survival on Kane. That means we definitely want to be in blind spots, except for Kane. Of course, there is the risk of taking damage. Let me see who's more likely. I think, honestly, Lucy already has 2 damage to her body. I really don't want her to roll into the trap. I think we'll have Robin go in first and attack from the blind spot here. She'll be hitting on a 5. And she hits 2. I would have rather only hit 1. Okay. So let's see here. We're going to go for the fuzzy groin first. In the very rare chance that we land a crit, we'd be able to get his nuts. Uh, 4 + 3 is 7. Just barely not enough. His nuts are just a little bit too powerful. That's okay. We still have 1 more decent attack at the soft belly. And 3 + 3 is definitely not enough either. So unfortunately, we had 2 swings there. They were both misses. Close, but still misses. That means we have 1 last chance with Lucy to hit with her bone darts. Getting a little worried, but you got to kill him. A 5 + 1 is, again, a miss on the bone darts. They would have had to hit on a 6. Monster Controller is going to move along. We know he can only do his basic action. It's going to be the closest survivor in the field of view. That is only Kane. It means we're going to attack twice. Going to hit on a 4+. 6 and a 6. They're both hits. He still has 1 survival, though, so we've got a pretty decent chance of not taking a severe injury. Head and then the arms. Head, I know we've got some armor from. Arms, likewise, we have 1 hit here. You know, we might dodge the head hit. He's going to be attacking next. And I really don't like the idea of rolling into the trap and getting hit in the head twice and then taking a severe injury there. So we are going to dodge there. This is, again, proactive. But again, we're so close to the end of the fight. This is the time you probably want to start using your survival points, unless you've got another reason to use them. Again, we'll start with the club. He's in the perfect position. Going to be hitting on a 6+. 5 and a 9. That's 1 hit. Almost preferred. And it's going to be his beast's chest. And we hit a 9. So with a sickening crunch, we smash through his chest cavity, killing him once and for all. That's for mauling Shepard to death and exploding his chest cavity into his heart. Okay, our rewards. First thing we're going to do is everybody's going to gain 1 hunt XP. So everyone that's alive will be getting 1 hunt XP. It's going to be Robin. It's going to be Lucy. And it's going to be Kane. So right away, we're going to be rolling on how our time in the darkness has changed us. So as we exist, as we survive within this world, we get stronger and stronger. So the beginning one is we're just beginning to become proficient with our weapon. Our time spent with our weapons allows us to become stronger. Immediately after this, before we depart on a hunt, we're able to declare a weapon type and then gain proficiency with that weapon. We'll go left to right. We'll start with Robin first. Robin lands a 15. I believe that puts her right in range of getting a fighting art. It does. Okay, so she has gained the ability of Rhythm Chaser. This will actually make her slightly better at being a tank necessarily than Kane would. She gets 1 bonus evasion for free until she gets knocked down. Unless you put some sort of a musical instrument inside her gear grid. Next up is Lucy. So she rolls a 9. Again, I believe that is just a fighting art. It is. And she also gets Rhythm Chaser. That is kind of amazing. It's a decent one. It's not amazing to get. Eventually, there is a innovation within the village that will allow us to get it for more or less for free. But early on, and before we get that, I think it's actually pretty decent to have. And having 2 people that are able to take hits is a lot nicer than just 1 person with a hat that's taking hits. Okay, and finally, there's Kane. Kane rolls an 8. That is not a fighting art. No, it is a fighting art. I'm sorry. All right, and he gets 1 fighting art as well. And he gets Tumble. Tumble's very helpful later on. Again, if we were standing within grass with a club and the monster to roll forward towards us, this is a nice art to have because it allows us to get out of the way. So as somebody who's maybe not moving that much, although he may not hold onto this club forever, Tumble would be of a pretty good advantage to have. Okay, so we got our hunt experience. We weren't able to get weapon proficiency because we were not already age 2. Our rewards are, first is the ability to create the Catarium for free within the settlement locations. We'll see that in this next installment. But essentially, it's going to allow us to make White Lion armor as well as specific weapons. Finally, we're going to get 4 basic resources and 4 White Lion resources. So one thing to note is within the basic resources, because we already have the skull as a resource, that is no longer within this deck. If you're playing this in any other way or trying to decide whether or not, you don't take it out and put it back in. It's at the end of every settlement phase, all these end up getting recorded and the decks get refreshed. I'm going to pull 4 cards off here. I'm going to pull 4 cards off here. So we got a hide. Excellent. Amazing. We needed at least 1 to innovate. We got a bone. Terrible. I hate it. I don't want it. Maybe 1 is okay. An organ. Amazing. So this is our innovation right here. And then another organ. Helpful. We can end up using more organs later on to start either maybe making 1 more bone axe or maybe making some monster grease. We got 1 white fur, luxurious and soft to the touch. We got a sinew. The guts are useful. These can be used to make a bow. Great cat bone, strong, surprisingly light. Again, we really don't need that many more bones. As well as another great cat bone. Again, strong and surprisingly light. So essentially, assuming we're going to innovate, we only, again, have just enough fur to make 1 more piece of armor. Which is what we're going to do. At least in the next installment of this series. We're not going to make it right away. Okay, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed this first installment here in A Death to Monsters. This is a classic fight. Everyone who's ever played Kingdom Death, I believe this is the very first thing that they fought. At the very least, it's usually your very first hunt, going out on Lantern Year 1. We did make it with only, I guess, minimal casualties. Given that we didn't have much armor or anything else, it was very likely that 1 person was going to die. It's unfortunate that we first lost our strength and then we lost our life, but not all things are bad, and not even death is necessarily all that bad within the context of this game, as we'll see in the next installment. If you enjoy the content, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up. If you comment down below and you put your name out there, chances are I will end up throwing you into the civilization at some point. Plan on dying. I will I will not guarantee anyone's long-term safety or survival. But again, I thank you so much for watching. This has been a lot of fun for me. Hopefully it's been a lot of fun for you. Until next time.